Hi, my name is Joseph Caleb Through, and I'm going to be talking about cells and the parts of cells. So first off, let's start with the nucleus. So the nucleus, it's like the brain of the cell. It controls like the cell's like function. Um, Another part of the nucleus, I'll show you this one. So another part of the nucleus, this is the nucleus. This is like the whole cell itself. That is the nucleus. um, is the nuclear envelope, which separates contents from the cytoplasm. Then you have the endomembrane, which kind of works as it's like the skull of the nucleus. It's like for protection and stuff like that. Like what our skull does for our brain, that's pretty much what the endomembrane does for the nucleus. Then of course you have the nuclear pores on the nucleus, which just imagine a ball with just like a bunch of like tiny holes in it. That's basically a nuclear pore. This regulates the transfer of molecules between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. And then, of course, right in dead center, you have the nucleolus, which is really important for RNA synthesis. And then, last but not least, in the nucleus, you have the chromatin, which is a complex. Which is the complex of which is a complex of DNA and proteins which make up chromosomes, which that carries the genetic information. Next, let's go to next. Sorry about this. I had it all organized. This is the second take, so it's all a little out of order. Next, let's go to the endomembrane system. This is so the endomembrane system. This is like the smooth and the rough ER. That's where that comes into play. So it's the endomembrane system is it's really important for compartmentalization for channeling and transport and increasing the surface area for integral proteins. Um, so let's go into the rough ER. So the rough ER, it's for the synthesis and the packaging of protein. I'm doing the recording right now. Um, Sorry about that. So the rough ER is like conjugated proteins and synthesis and packaging of protein. Um, and then it's kind of like the factory warehouse. Then we have the smooth ER. Oh, something that I forgot to mention about the rough ER. It's studded with with ribosomes. It's like studded with it. But then the smooth ER is not. The smooth ER does not. It doesn't have the ribosomes on it. So the smooth ER though, it's really so while the rough ER it handles the protein stuff. While the rough ER handles the protein stuff, the smooth ER handles the lipid, steroid, and carbohydrate synthesis. Um, it's the factory warehouse for like enzymes and for lipids, and actually for cell detox. It adds and it does this by like, let's say like if someone has done like drugs or like alcohol or something like that, and there needs to be a detox to get rid of that crap. So what the cell does, it adds a carboxyl group, which makes the stuff soluble in water. And besides a smoothie R doing that cell detox, it also stores ions. So let's go on to ribosomes, since that has a lot to do with the rough ER. So for ribosomes, they create protein. They're attached to the rough ER, and they're also kind of like floating around the cell. They're accessible. They assemble amino acids into polypeptide chains. And once the amino chain is built, it gets pushed into the ER. And once the protein chain is complete, the ER pinches it and sends it off to the Golgi apparatus. So on that note, let's go to the Golgi apparatus. There it is. Gonna put the endomembrane over there. Here is the Golgi body. I'm just making sure that I said Golgi apparatus. So the Golgi body, aka the Golgi apparatus, it's like the UPS of the cell. This is the protein processing and packaging area. It sends proteins out. It's actually able to cut up large proteins into hormones and combine those proteins with carbs and create different molecules. It's really three of them. So some of the other functions of it is it's secretory vesicles and the modification of the lipids and the proteins, and then of course the cell wall unit. So this is the Golgi body. You can see how it's kind of like stacked on each other. It's a very, very intricate part of the cell, much like the mitochondria, which is this guy. And you can see the mitochondria on the model here. It is the bean-shaped one right there. The mitochondria is very important for the cell because it is the powerhouse for the cell, and it produces ATP. It's where cellular respiration takes place. And the interesting thing about the mitochondria is that it actually kind of does its own thing. It has its own DNA. It has its own. Sorry about that. Just wanted to make sure that what I was saying was in fact correct. And yes, so the mitochondria, it has its own DNA. So the DNA, like in an egg cell, it actually has the mitochondrial DNA, and it's really interesting because you're actually able to trace that DNA down from like ancestor to ancestor, and they're actually able to trace down like the first like Eve, if you will, like 200,000 years ago. I think someplace in Africa, because of the DNA in the mitochondrial cell. I could be wrong on the date, but according to the video that I just watched, that's the information that I was given, unless I just messed up on the numbers. Okay, so anyway, so we're going from the mitochondria to lysosomes. Lysosomes are really cool. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, I forgot to talk about vesicles, which are really important in the cell. Vesicles are basically like the transport service of the cell. They take proteins and stuff like that, enzymes, whatever, where they need to go in the cell. This is the transport system. Anyways, back to lysosomes, which is like the waste treatment center of the cell, if you will. These have like digestive enzymes. They're acidic. Their function is their function is phagocytosis. That's like one of the things that they do. And what's so cool about phagocytosis? Okay, so phago means like eater of or killer, and then cytosis, I believe, means like cell. So it's like eater of cells, which is basically what they do. And you can kind of see that here. They're literally just eating up what needs to be eaten up. They're also, so for lysosomes, they're also play a part in organelle destruction and protein degradation. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that when a cell goes bad or is compromised, that the lysosome will actually like eat the cell from the inside out to get rid of the cell. Then of course we have the microbodies, for instance, the peroxisomes, which are very specialized in the metabolic process, and it produces hydrogen peroxide. It produces a hydrogen peroxide. I can't read my own handwriting. I'm sorry. Hydrogen peroxide byproduct that converts it to water. And then we already talked about ribosomes. So another part that I haven't talked about yet is the cytoskeleton, right? So the cytoskeleton. So right here you have the microtubule right there, and this is the cytoskeleton is really exactly what it sounds like. Sorry, I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but I forgot to describe exactly what the cytoskeleton does. It's exactly what it sounds like. Our skeleton gives us structure. It keeps us just from being just bags of organs and flesh. It gives us support and structure. This is what the cytoskeleton does. So the parts of it, the parts of it, for instance, is the microtubule, which is like the conveyor belt inside the cell. It moves vesicles, granules, and organelles. That's that green one right there. You can see that. And then we have the intermediate filament, which is here on the bottom. So a microtubule that plays a role in the rigidity of the cell. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm sorry. And then of course we have the intermediate filament, which provides the mechanical support for the plasma membrane, where it comes into contact with other cells or extracellular matrix. It doesn't participate in the motility of the cell, though, which is kind of interesting. And then we have the actin filament, which is important for the cell shape and muscle contraction and cell adhesion. Then we have the cell membrane, which helps stuff to get in and out. Won't go into much more detail than that. But so these are the parts of the cell. So what I haven't talked about yet is the plant cell. And there's a bit of a difference when it comes to a plant cell and an animal cell. For instance, animal cells do not have a cell wall, but plant cells do. Another difference is that while the animal cell does have vacuoles and stuff like that, it doesn't have a large central, like one vast vacuole like the plant cell does. And the plant cell, right here, vacuoles, what it does, it produces turgor in the plant. So plants, it produces turgor. Okay, so like for instance, if you get like a piece of celery, it has like a certain, it's like a drumstick. It's very just straight, and it's very just straight as an arrow, won't flop around and stuff like that. The reason is because the central vacuole is like filled with water, which the pressure inside that reinforces the plant and gives it that turgor. And then if like you leave that stalk of celery in the fridge for a couple of days, that central vacuole will dry out, and then it'll just be this limp thing because it has no more turgor, because that central vacuole is dry. Then, of course, we have the chloroplast, which is not in animal cells, because for us, we need to get our energy from like outside sources. You know, if we don't eat, then we die. That's just how animal cells work. We don't really have. We're not like plants. Plants, all they need is sunshine and water, and then they're good to go. And carbon dioxide, I believe, or no, I'm sorry, oxygen. The byproduct is carbon dioxide, I believe. Anyways, sorry. So chloroplasts, there are two. Okay, so this is the chloroplast. This little guy right here. There's two bilayer membranes. So then here, red underlined, stroma. Stroma is the fluid outside of the thylakoid, and it has chloroplast, DNA, and ribosomes and enzymes. And then we have the granum, which is adjacent to the stroma. And the granum, it has stacks of thylakoid discs, and then thylakoid discs, they're light-dependent reaction photosynthesis. And then we have the chlorophyll, which is very important. Chlorophyll in chloroplast is where like photosynthesis and all that stuff takes place. You know, converts sunlight into food. This is why plants have their green color. It's because of chlorophyll. For instance, if you have an orange or a strawberry that's too ripe, that it's not ready to get picked yet. It has like that green color, and that's because of chlorophyll. And then when it's all ready to get picked, it doesn't have that chlorophyll anymore, which I'm not sure if the chlorophyll is just gone or what that color is, but the green in the plant is the chlorophyll, which helps to bring in the sunlight and then convert that sunlight into food and energy. Just want to make sure that I didn't leave anything out. I'm going to consult the book. Ribosomes, talked about those. Did not talk about centrosomes, I believe. Centrosome is the region where the cell's microtubules are initiated, and they contain a pair of centrioles. Now it's these guys right here. They kind of look like weird tubed, not ravioli, but like that tube pasta. These are really important in the cell division and in mitosis. The centrosomes, they play a huge role in the cell division. Let's see if I missed anything else. Flagellum, I did miss that. So flagellum, tail, flagellum. So plant cells do not have these. They're just plant cells. They have a cell wall. They're not going anywhere. For other cells, they have other ways of getting around. So for instance, like a sperm cell has flagellum. It has a tail. For like I believe like cells in like your lungs and stuff like that, that has like cilia, like to move stuff out. For instance, phlegm, when your cough stuff up and you're expectoring stuff, I believe that the cilia assists in getting that stuff out. It works like it kind of looks like tiny little arms. It's kind of looks like the microvilla here, so the microvilla, it increases the surface area of the cell. But yes, the cilia, it's kind of like an arm-like structure. I believe that is everything. Thank you very much. I apologize for the length of the video, and have a good night.